incomprehensible amount of money is changing hands around you in your city every single day. But you haven't asked yourself how to get into the middle of that flow and taking the risk to build something and then jumping in the middle of that financial flow, just like jumping in the middle of traffic. It's like the same damn thing. You might get hit or you might have the thrill of a lifetime, is exactly what puts you in the very same monetary flow system that's going to eventually pay you back tenfold or 100-fold.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Chris Harder Show, where today I'm grateful that, you know what? Here's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that my brother's out here spending a few weeks with us. You know, it's hot in Arizona and we've got this place in Newport and he's been out here for a few weeks and staying at our place. And I'm getting to make so many good memories with him. And I just freaking love that I've got a brother that I can also call a best friend. So we're just racking up the memories, and that's what I'm grateful for. And if you're like, what in the world is this guy talking about? I always start my solo episodes with what I'm grateful for so that I can kind of inspire you to do the same, right? Take a pause and take inventory of what you do have going in your favor instead of always worrying about what you don't have. Because when you do that, I'm telling you, life unfolds in your favor way more instead of just concentrating on what are you missing, you know, where aren't you yet, etc. So stop, make a gratitude list, say a few things that you're grateful for, do it a couple times a day. I promise you it's a game changer. And you know what else is a game changer? Is coaching. A few of you know that this year I got back to doing something that I loved that I stopped doing for a few years because I was quote unquote too busy and didn't want to be on more Zoom. And I went to Italy last year and my friend Rob, one of my best friends in the world, he said, hey, why don't you coach anymore? And I said, I love it, but the problem is I don't want to be in Zoom all the time. Like I hate Zoom. And not to mention with my right eye being 50% blind, Zoom makes me go that much crazier now. He said, well, why don't you just design what you wish existed? You don't have to be on Zoom. He's like, what would you design if you could have it your way and you really wanted to do this? I said, oh my God, people would come to me. I love in person. We'd spend the entire afternoon together, you know, a half day, like every 45, 60, 75 days. And we would, you know, go through their entire business. What do you need next? And we'd map it out, and then they'd go back and they'd kick some ass for 60 days. And then, you know, text me everything they need in between and let me know if I can, you know, provide some contacts for them and just like keep me abreast of everything that's going on, but no scheduled Zooms. And then they'd fly out again and we'd do it again. And like this routine would go on every, you know, roughly 60, 75 days. We'd see each other for an entire afternoon and then we'd text back and forth and call back and forth in between. I said, it'd be very casual because we're only doing the things that absolutely move the needle. And he's like, so then do it. And I came back from Italy last year and I did it. And I've had some of the best freaking clients on the planet. I'm so glad I did it that way. So listen, if this at all sounds intriguing to you, you and me, one-on-one, locking arms to grow your business. And I mean, not like, oh, yay, we're just kind of, you know, sounding ideas off each other, like real strategy, which is my superpower, and making sure that you've got the right resources to get it done. And you want to do this in person instead of endless crappy Zoom calls, then I'm your guy. I've got one spot left. I've got a client that just wrapped up. She's amazing. She just had a record launch. I'm so proud of her. So that means there's one spot for you. If you want to do this, you can do one of two things. You can either just DM me on Instagram at Chris W. Harder, or you can go to chrisharder.me/coaching and fill out the really quick app that's there so that we can have a good phone call together. Either way, let's find out if it's a good fit for you. By the way, I pay for your plane ticket. So if you're like somewhere else in the country, you're like, oh God, I wish I lived by you. Not a problem, because I pay for your plane ticket to fly in and out each day. So no excuses other than you're not ready to completely and utterly challenge yourself and up-level your life and take that business, preferably from multiple six figures into the seven-figure range. All right, guys. So with that being said, I want to talk about one more thing that's a game changer, and that's today's episode, and that is taking risk. And I was thinking about taking risk because when Lori and I were driving home from the gym the other day, we were talking about all the risk that we take. You know, her with starting Lite Pink that turned into Glōci, and Glōci is absolutely smashing it right now. But Lite Pink was a terrible experience for her. Everything got in her way. Everything, went up against her, so to speak. And she had to make that pivot. And it took a long time, and she did. And me with risking everything with Frello and, running into massive regulation laws just weeks from launching after having 2 years and $2 million into this thing, more than $2 million into this thing. And, having to find a pivot and taking my time to find the right pivot instead of just pivoting to something lame and finding a revolutionary pivot, which I'm going to do a whole episode on because we're only 60 days from being totally completed with our new build, which is wild. And, the old adage, everything happens for you, not to you. Well, this definitely happened for us because the numbers are way better on the new Frello model and the risk is way lower on the new Frello model. So I'm so freaking excited about that. But the point is, these were all very big risks, right? We decided to raise capital instead of using all of our own money because it was millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars at risk. Well, that's a big risk, risking relationships or risking reputations by doing that if we don't follow through. The risk of, embarrassment or the risk of failure or the risk of, pumping a bunch of our own money, which I've been doing into Frello now to keep it alive during our pivot and burning through all of that type of, we're talking serious bucks here to keep such a large fintech company alive before monetization. So everything is a risk. But Lori and I both have a high risk tolerance. We are not afraid to lose it all and start again if we had to. And we're like, where does that come from? And it comes from the fact that we've already done that before, right? In 08, 09, when the recession hit. Those of you that don't know the story, I was in banking and lost my job. And as a primary breadwinner, we're living beyond our means. We had to start over from way below zero. And so when we ask ourselves, well, gosh, what if we lost it all? Or when you ask yourself, ooh, I'm afraid to take that risk. What if I lose it all? Well, the answer is you kind of have to if you're going to be successful. There is mediocrity and staying exactly where you're at right now, maybe a slightly incremental better version. Every couple of years you get a little bit of growth. Or there's freaking risk it, do the big scary thing that your heart really wants to do and get 2 rewards. The first reward is the potential massive monetary reward. But the second reward that's guaranteed to happen, even though you'll have some bad days, is the fulfillment. Holy crap, I did it. I'm proud. I went for it reward. And that reward is priceless. So what if you lost it all? When Lori and I ask ourselves, what if we lost it all? We go back to 08, 09 when we did, and we say, well, we lived in a small apartment and it was like a mother-in-law suite. And, we were happy. We walked around the lakes in Minneapolis 6 to 9 miles a day, plotting our comeback. And that mere exercise of being out there walking around all day together and the mere exercise of dreaming and planning and building from scratch again and getting to choose who you want to be this next time around and how you want to do it this next time around. There's actually a lot of happiness in that. There's a lot of joy in that. I think everybody thinks when you risk it all that it's going to feel terrible the whole time until somehow you make a comeback. And that's not true. It feels terrible for a minute. It feels terrible while you tear the Band-Aid off and admit to yourself, well, that idea didn't work out. Time to start over. But then the starting over is, in its own form, a reward. And I don't know how to really put that into words for you other than if you have at all trusted me, then you have to trust me that the very act of starting over feels like part of the fun part of the journey after you get past that little painful part of tearing off the Band-Aid and saying, well, shit, that didn't work out. I'm going to take my lumps. I'm going to be embarrassed for a minute, and then I'm just not going to care. And I'm going to get to work, and I'm going to build something that I really wanted to build all along. Listen, when we had to start over financially, we didn't get to do as many cool things as we do now. But the time that we filled in all the planning and doing more meaningful, simple things was just as fun as doing the really, really cool things. And I don't know how to put that on a scale for you, but a simple dinner grilling out is, in the right context, in the right setting, the same amount of joy on the joy scale as taking a private jet somewhere. And you might hear that and think, that's bullshit. It's not. It's not that when you're rich, suddenly you discover, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. It's not like all of a sudden you discover level 11 or 12 or 15. It's not like suddenly you feel 15 out of 10 when you do certain things. Nah, an 8 out of 10 by, grilling out on a beautiful evening is the same as an 8 out of 10 of hopping in a private jet and getting somewhere more convenient. In other words, the scale of joy doesn't change in what you feel in your heart. The things that allow you to feel that on the scale, that might change a little bit if you have a lot of money versus a little bit of money. But the point is, it's worth going for it, because the truth is the world belongs to the people that make the bold moves. There's no denying this. I mean, just look around. Look at every single person that you look up to, whether you listen to their podcasts or you follow them on social media. You can trace their story back to when they took a lot of risk, to when they made really bold moves, to when they told the world, all right, world, I might fall on my face, but holy shit, we're going for it. And the thrill of going for it, they've quickly found out, was worth going for it despite the outcome. And if you're looking up to all these people, that means their outcome turned out pretty damn good. And because it turned out pretty damn good for them, it can turn out pretty damn good for you. And if you need any proof, by the way, or any incentivization that is possible, just look around. Because like on this same car ride, when Lori and I were riding home from the gym talking about this, we're driving through one of the most beautiful parts of Newport Beach. And we're looking around. I'm like, Lori, look around. We're at a stoplight. I go, Lori, look around. Look at all these beautiful buildings over here. Look at all these buildings being built over here. Look at all these gorgeous cars around. Look at all of these stores. Look at all these restaurants. Look at everything that's going on. There are billions and billions and billions of dollars trading hands just in these couple of blocks right here every single day. And the question for you becomes this: not is there enough money supply for you to plug into, but have you chosen to plug into that flow of money supply that's changing hands? That's really what it comes down to. The money is already changing hands. An incomprehensible amount of money, you can't comprehend it, is changing hands around you in your city every single day. But you haven't asked yourself how to get into the middle of that flow and taking the risk to build something and then jumping in the middle of that financial flow, just like jumping in the middle of traffic. It's like the same damn thing. You might get hit or you might have the thrill of a lifetime, is exactly what puts you in the very same monetary flow system that's going to eventually pay you back tenfold or 100-fold. So this is not an episode saying go out there and take irresponsible risk. This is an episode saying if you flatlined or if you're unhappy or if you're unfulfilled, then that's your calling to go build the big thing. That's your calling to take the risk. That's your calling to say, screw it, let's do it. But take calculated risk. Run some financials. See what your path would look like. Figure out what it's going to cost you. Don't say, how am I going to get the money? But say, where am I going to get the money? Like, know that you're going to get it. Not like, oh, I don't know how. No, screw that. Just say, I know the money's out there. I'm going to find a way to get the money to fund my dream, and I'm going to mother effing go for it. Otherwise, what's going to happen? You'll be listening to this show in a couple of years, and nothing's going to have changed much in your life. Maybe you went up 50 grand a year. Maybe you went up 100 grand a year. I mean, if you're making 100 right now and you go up 100 grand a year, that sounds great, like it doubled. But I got to tell you, there's a massive inflation that's not going to slow down because of how quickly advancements are coming. And with how quickly advancements are coming, that means opportunity is bigger. When opportunity is bigger, that means even more cash flow is going to be created in the system, which means $1 now is probably worth 60 cents in a few years worth of buying power. So even though your income goes up, you actually didn't get further ahead. You have to outpace the inflation. You have to outpace what's coming. You have to outpace the opportunity by getting into the opportunity, just thrusting yourself into that oncoming traffic of massive cash flow that's happening in your city every single day. When you do that, let's dust off the old saying of this show. That's when good people like you start making good money, and then you can do great freaking things. Hey, thanks for listening. And don't forget, one-on-one coaching spot left. I fly you on my dime to come to me every 60 days or so. We text, we call, we do whatever it takes to once and for all take your business to the absolute next measurable level. Apply at chrisharder.me/coaching or just slide into my DMs at Chris W. Harder. Thanks for listening, guys. Love and appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.